Well, folks, good day to you one and all, and welcome to another round of NXTGEN Racing Proto Season 4, round number 2, and we come to you from Road America. Today's production brought to you by Second Year Productions, and commentary proudly and happily done by myself, Gary Gaza Fleming, and we're going to be bringing you all the action as it happens out there on circuit. So they are actually into the qualifying session now. There's been a pretty long extended, a 1 hour practice session that they had a little bit earlier on. That's now come to an end, and the first of the guys are already out on circuit. So let's have a look-see exactly who is going to be out there today for this round. This is round number 2. I remember the road course, the Elkhart Lake in Wisconsin road course known as Road America, covers 640 acres of ground. That is massive. That is one hell of a complex, and well, it is an iconic circuit. Not only is it an iconic circuit, they also host a lot of iconic racing out that side as well. They are regulars in terms of IndyCar, IMSA Sports Car Championship, GT World Challenge, Trans Am Series, Moto America Superbike Championship on the 6.5 kilometer, otherwise known as 4.08 miles, that the length of the circuit. So I tell you what, it's an amazing circuit. You think how much racing, that's what it looks like. You'll see the front main, and going down towards turn 1, you've got a reasonably sharp but high speed corner up the section to turn number 3. Long run down the moraine sweep through turn 5, a very sharp left-hander, turn 6, 90 degrees. Hurry downs, there's a favorite spot to pass there. Another 90-degree bend in turn 8. The carousel, you've got to really play with the accelerator through the carousel through turns 9 and 10. We don't use the kink at all, so straight through to Kettle Bottoms, Canada Corner, turn 13, and then a back out into the front main again. So that is the layout of Road America, and as we said, not using the kink at all. So we've got two types of cars that are out there this evening. We've got the LMdH and we've got the LMP3s. Now out on circuit at the moment is in fact the LMP3s. There's not a lot of them. There is Mr. Mark Baker, Jorge Benitez, Trevor Evans, Sean Skitter, he's on his way up the front main, and Mike Ridner is out there as well. Trevor Evans, the first man to put up a time. They go out, they do the one warm-up lap from the exit of the pit lane, and then the second lap, using the whole circuit and more, is Mike Ridner. He is working his way around to complete a, well, he's already done the warm-up lap. He is now on a flying lap. So Mark Baker is the fastest man out there so far. 2 minutes dead, 0.100. You can't be more to the second accurate than that. Sean Skitter, the man that's just in front of him, he is a half a second off. Trevor Evans deciding let's put in a banker lap first of all, and getting himself into third overall in the LMP3 class. You'll see the blue on the left-hand side of their names. That means that they are in the LMP3 class. The LMdH will have a yellow on the left-hand side. That will then indicate for them being in a different class. So it will be broken up into two different sections. The first half will be what you see out circuit there right now, and that is going to be the first half of the 25 minutes. So for 12 and a half minutes they will be out there on circuit, and then after that 12.5 minutes, it will be a case of they will go off, and then the track's going to get all busy, because then the LMdH cars, which are quicker than the LMP3s, will be out there on circuit. Paul Scott has put a time in. No, he hasn't. He's still on his way around. He's Paul Scott. You'll see that only the 3 that are up on the left-hand side of the screen are actually showing up on the screen. That is because of the fact that they have completed a lap. And once you've completed a lap and you've got a time up, then it will show where you actually are on the circuit as such. As we ride along there with Mike Riedner. Jorge Bentes has not put up a time yet. There's Jorge Bentes. He works his way around the very last corner. Let's see what kind of time Jorge Bentes can put up. He needs to be around about the 2.0 to be... Oh, Jorge Bentes in the house. He comes up alongside Mark Baker on the front row of the grid, so he'll be pretty happy with that. Where's Mike Riedner? Mike Riedner has not put up a time yet. Now, why has he not put up a time? Because of the fact that, one, either he went out late for the qualifying, or his first flying lap that he did, he had an off circuit. Then the computer does not, oh, lovely camera shot, that does not register that time, so therefore he does not show up on the board yet. Has he done a clean one? And no, he does not have a clean lap yet, so Riedner still to get a clean lap in so that he can go and join the game. Trevor Evans is 2.6 seconds off. He's the man that we see on screen there now. That is the 5th placed car. So in total we have got 6 of the LMP3s and then the balance of the pack, and I do believe we're going to be just about 30 cars that's going to be out there. But what I can tell you, of all the series that I have commentated on, the safety racing and the license rating on the guys in this series is utterly amazing. Just about everybody is Class A, and there's at least 5, 6, 7 of the guys that are in the 4-point odd. And now that in iRacing, for those of you that are not knowledgeable, you need to be around about the 3, 3.2, 3.3 to get the next level of racing going for yourself, etc., etc. But when you start getting to 4 and 4.5, you are the elite, you are the cream of the crop. And believe you me, there's a lot of them out there. 9 minutes 25 so far. The LMP3s are out there. Mark Baker, the fastest man so far. He'll get another lap in. In fact, he's got... there's the man that's the 2nd fastest, Sean Skitter. Jorge Bentes, the 3rd fastest man out there right now. And then Paul Scott, remember he put that banker in. Here he comes through now. 1.7 seconds off Mark Baker. Can he bump it up a little bit closer? Nope, it's just not going to be any quicker. That's as good as it gets for him. Trevor Evans gets himself a lap in as well. 2.4 seconds off. So Mike Riedner has got himself a nice clean lap. Is 2 seconds off Mark Baker. But let's be fair to all and sundry. Mark Baker's put up an amazing pace. Mark Baker working his way around the island, trying to get even, whoa, just a little bit too much, just a little bit too early on the gas, and Baker runs it wide. That takes away any opportunity of putting in anything faster to go to a sub 2-minute lap. Can anybody in the LMP3s break that 2-minute barrier? I think so. I would not be surprised whatsoever if somebody manages to get it right, to get right in there, up close and personal with a less than 2 minutes. So 11 minutes down. Mark Baker, the fastest man out there. Sean Skitter, just 0.2 of a second off. Jorge Benitez, just 0.2 of a second off. Can he bump himself onto the front row of the grid of the LMP3s? Is Benitez quick enough? He needs 0.2 of a second. Nope, sir, it's not gonna be. He has to bow down to the superior show there of a Sean Skitter and Mark Baker. He will probably come around. I think he might be able to complete. Oh, a bit of a wiggle there. That would have cost him a little bit of time. Jorge Benitez. Paul Scott coming around. Can he bump himself up onto the front row of the grid? Underneath the NTT bridge he goes. Up over the rise. Nope, it's not going to be. In fact, Riedner has moved one up and drops Paul Scott one position down, drops him onto the third row of the grid alongside Trevor Evans. They've basically come to the end of their allotted period of time, half of the 25 minutes. A big thanks to all our sponsors for the series: PowerMax, Benji Sim, Douglas Motorsport, Higgins Automotive, Choice Design, Motorsport UK Esports, Mark Sykes Designs, and Sam Cases. A big thanks to all of these people putting their money where their mouth is. The road course of Road Americas, where we are tonight. 400 events plus in a year that get run on this circuit, and very busy circuit it is. Well, now it's going to get busy out there because now the LMdH guys are out there. And as they work their way around the circuit, the only LMP3 still out there is in fact Paul Scott. He'll work his way back to the pits. So David Lugokiki, he's out there. Paul Williams is out on circuit. There's Jamie Dory, Alex Meredith. Oh, lovely spray job, that one. Wesley Lewin is in the house. Oh, Wesley Lewin's in the garden. Gets it back on track, but that's the warm-up lap, so that's fine. Nick Clibbins. Hello, Nick. Back out there on circuit. Lovely paint scheme on the Nick Clibbins car. Another top runner out there, Benjamin McCliskey. Dan Piazza Sr. He did very well in the previous round number one that we had 2 weeks back. It was a lovely race. That was at Fuji. We had Road America for round number 2, Spa the GP layout for round 3, Monza the GP layout for 4. The 5th round will be at Catalunya. That'll be the historic layout, and then the Daytona Road Circuit. Dan Downing out there as well. The man that everybody wants to catch, Stefan Wessels. Don't forget that name. He'll be one of the guys up front. It'll be him, the likes of Benjamin McCliskey, Nick Clibbins. These are the guys. Gary Gazza as well. Where is Gazza? There he is. Gareth in the 9-0. Better believe Williams is going to be quick. Neil Ferrier. The 666 of Mark Sykes out there as well as they work their way around with their warm-up lap. Now they will go into the flyer. This is where it starts getting to the important part. You've now warmed the tires up, you've warmed the brakes up, you've got a bit of a rhythm. Now you got to put those fast laps in. Igor Martinez, one of the leading racers as well. Jonas Schoberg, Dory Ricciuti. There he comes, the number 15 car. A basic spray and paint job on that motor car, but still a nice looking layout. Eduardo Tualdo, he's in the number 61. Oh, he's on a flyer at this stage. So where's the likes of Nick Clibbins? He's still got a way to go. Benjamin, yep, he's still got a way to go. Let's have a look at Stefan Wessels. Well, he'll be the first man to put up a time on. Paul Williams, a 1:47.365, massive difference, almost 13 seconds between the two different types of cars out there. Stefan Wessels straight away puts his stamp on this one. He says, I don't mind what you guys do, but I'm going to the front end of the field. Let me show you what we can do here. A 1:46.529. Benjamin is in the house. Oh, Benjamin McCliskey versus Stefan Wessels. That is always a winner. Paul Williams, the third fastest out there. He's 0.8 of a second off. Dan Piazza Sr., he's had a very good run up until now. So where's Gaza? Gaza's still on his way around. Igor Martinez in there. Schoberg is in. Mark Sykes is in as well. Sykes within 1.5 seconds. Igor Martinez and Dan Downing bringing up the tail end of the LMdH cars. Igor Martinez surprisingly goes into the pits. So he was 9 seconds off, so he must have had a bit of a bad off. Obviously wants to get the car fixed and sorted out. The man that's presently in 4th position, Paul Williams, working his way around the last part of the circuit through Canada Corner, through turn 13, turn 14. Oh, he's flying through there with the number 4, Paul Williams, 0.8. Well, he's got to the 1,000th of a second, the same as Neil Ferrier. He just needs to go 1,000 quicker, and he'll move himself up 1 position. Nope, he doesn't get that right. Benjamin McCliskey, he's on an outlap, so we're going to have to wait a while before we can get a time for him. Where's Gareth? There's Gaza Williams. He's still got to put up a time. We're waiting for Craig Tillotson to come around as well. He's not on the board yet. David Lugakiki, he'll be in the number 44 Porsche. Oh, what a good looking motor car that is as they go underneath the Henry's Bridge. Meredith on his way up towards the line. Mark Sykes is going to be wanting to put up a slightly quicker time. He's one of very few Class B runners. Nope, he does not manage to go any quicker at this point, and Williams has not put up a time yet. He's not on the board. Nick Clibbens is in, but he's 4 seconds off Nick Clibbens. Whoa. Well, this is a turn up for the books. Stefan Wessels, Dan Piazza Sr., yep, yeah. Alex Meredith, Gazza's in the house now. He's 3/10 out. Dory Ricciuti. Ooh, Dory. You've got yourself on the 3rd row of the grid. Benjamin McCliskey on his outlap as well. Not where he wants to be. He cannot afford, McCliskey, Benjamin, cannot afford to have Stefan Wessels and Dan Piazza Sr. on the front row of the grid. And Gaza in front of him as well. That's not going to bode well for him if he wants to have a good race. Nick Clibbens way out of it. Completely way out of it is Nick Clibbens. Can you believe it? And I mean, he's normally very quick. So I'm going to hazard a guess he's only done 1 lap so far. I'm pretty sure. Ooh, that's that long, horrible carousel through turn 9, turn 10, underneath the Henry Bridge. Miss out on the kink. And work your way through Kettle Bottoms. How's this one going to play itself out for Nick Clibbens? Oh, another off circuit. He's under pressure. He is under pressure. Out of Canada Corner, through turn 13, through turn 14. Clibbens has got to come up with something good. Let's see what... Oh, and he's going to go into the pits. The bad news for Nick Clibbens. He must have gone off somewhere. That's exactly what he doesn't need. That bounces him right out of it. He's 16th overall on the grid. So Stefan Wessels, who's still out there, He knows that Dan Piazza Sr. is pretty close. Neil Ferrier. Oh, Neil Ferrier, 19 thousandths of a second, drops Dan down to the second row of the grid. Alex is in the pits. He says, I'm not going to go out again. I think I've got this one waxed. Let's stick with what we've got and go from there. That looks like it's all fine. Quick couple of the guys that's already in the pits. Gazza's got himself up onto the third row of the grid. That looks quite fine for him, 3/10. So everybody in the top 10 is within 9/10 of a second. Dori Ricciuti, just a little bit wide. That'll cost him a bit of straight line get-go as he works his way under the bridge. You can see that is the Sargento Bridge. Yep, he slows it right down. I think he's realized he's fluffed that lap. He can't go any further with that. Jamie Dory on his way around. Can Jamie go any quicker than what he was? Nope. Jamie Dory going down to turn number 1 is not going to get any higher up. Igor Martinez, he's on his way up towards the line now as well. He finds himself in 19th position in the number 50 car. It's not going to work for him whatsoever. Just 2.5 minutes still to go. Alex is in the pits. It doesn't look like he's going to be coming out again. Paul Williams, he's in the pits. Doesn't look like he's going to be trying any further. Obviously, all the LMP3 guys are already a long time in the pits. David hasn't got a time yet. David Degluski. I wonder what's happened to him. There he goes up the hill now. Can David Degluski get himself a clean lap? Yes, he does. He moves up to 15th position. Gazza's on his way round again. He doesn't want that third row. Oops, up to the second row of the grid, and he does it with less than 2 minutes to go. So Gazza's in the house. He's alongside Dan, Neil Ferrier, and Stephen on the front of the grid. Dori Ricciuti just 4 thousandths of a second quicker than Benjamin McCluskey. Benjamin, slow down. He is not going to have another shot at it. There won't be enough time for him to have another clean lap. He just gets out of the way. He says, I can't do it, guys. You carry on. So he'll be on the 4th row of the grid. Benjamin McCluskey and Paul Williams. Paul Williams initially did go very, very well. Marcello Felix finds himself in 9th position. Benjamin, is he going to go for another flyer? Yep, looks like he's going to go for another flyer. I think he fancies his chances that the computer will allow him to complete the lap. If that is the case, you better believe McCluskey is going to be on a very, very quick lap out there. Stefan Wessels, he hasn't given up on it yet. He has still got the fastest lap time of 1:46.264. 13.5 seconds quicker than the fastest LMP3, which is Sean Skitter from Mark Baker. Jorge Bentes from Paul Scott. Nope, he's giving up on that one. Stefan Wessels says that's enough. Where's Neil? Neil's not going to make it in time either. Where is Dan? Can he make it in time to complete another lap? No, I don't think so. What about Gazza? He's on his way up the hill. Come across the line. Can he bump himself up onto the front row of the grid? No siree. Second row. It's going to be aimed on the wrong side of the circuit, on the outside. And that concludes quali for the LMdH and the LMP3 guys. So we're going to go straight into our sprint race for those of you that have just joined us. Road America, permanent road circuit, built in 1950. Well-known names there: Carousel, Hurry Downs, The King, Kettlebottoms, Canada Corner, Moraine Sweep. All those well-known corners that we're going to watch these super quick prototype cars working their way around. They Let's see how this one's going to play itself out. It's going to be very interesting to see who's going to come up tops for this one. Odds on favourites, got to be Stefan Wessels. Given what he did the previous week, well, yeah, you're going to have to really go some to beat him. He's really a class act. The rest of the guys busy coming around. 13th place, Mark Sykes, he's still out there as well. Will the computer allow him to complete his lap? It looks like it might, because Mark's on a flyer. 1.27, just 200ths of a second outside of Nick Clevens. That is going to be back into the pits. And I think that's... Alan McCain's still out there. Alan McCain having a bash at it, and he gets Eduardo, Wesley and Craig Tillotson in there behind him. So I think you'll be pretty happy with that one. That last lap was his best lap, and he put it all together and made it work when it was really necessary. So let's give the computer a chance to compute, excuse the pun, that we can get the grid together, and then we're going to be going into the sprint race. NXTGEN Racing, Road America, and we are into round number 2 for the season. Just waiting for the computer to give us the grid proper. Look how nice and green it is there around that circuit. 14 turns, lots of elevation, blind rises, exits of corners that you can't see very easily whatsoever. So let's have a look at that grid. Stefan Wessels and Dan Piez on the front row of the grid. Ferrier, Williams, Meredith, Martinez, Ricciuti, McCluskey, all the big hitters are in there. Let's have a look just a little bit further down how that one's going to look. There you can see the rest of that grid. Justice down in 15th position. Remember, this is all the LMdH cars that are up front. The MP3s at the back end of the pack. And the boys at the front end of the field, they just about good to go. Oh, this is going to be something else. I hope you're looking forward to it the way that I am. Today's race from Road America, brought to you by Second Gear Productions. The calm before the storm. Can you believe it? Dan Piazza Sr., he'll be super chuffed. He's right in there on that front row of the grid alongside Stefan Wessels, Neil Ferrier and Gaza on the second row. They'll be very aware of the fact that this is the sprint race. You're going to have to try and get a good result out of it. Remember, the feature race is an invert of this, so the better you do now, the worse it's going to be for your start for the main event. Ferrier pops up on the grid. He's there. Dan Downing. Oh, there's Downing. Downing's got onto the grid as well. Paul Williams on the 4th row. Looks like just about everybody's in there. Marcello's in. Danny's in. Nick Clevens. Oh, he's under so much pressure. It's not where he wanted to be. Craig Tillotson has not clicked in. And I don't think he's going to make it unless he is going to be starting from the pit lane. But right now, Tillotson is not in there at all. As they work their way up towards that start-finish line, waiting for the lights to go green under the NTT bridge. The green flag goes down and away they go, and heading down towards turn number 1. Stefan Wessels diving across is Meredith, changes direction as they work their way down towards turn number 1. Oh, I think there could have been a bit of contact there in the mid-pack, but so far so good. Everybody makes it through. It's all fine. Oh, looks like Gazza's gone. Gazza's one of the cars. He was on the outside of that grouping. There comes the LMP3 cars, and Gazza was definitely one of the cars that was taken out there. Jorge Bentes as well. Jorge Bentes making contact, And yep, that was him that also went off the circuit, unfortunately. Got it back together. Let's go back to the front end of the field. There is Stefan Wessels. He leads them out. In behind him is Neil Ferrier, the man that started. Alongside him on the front row of the grid, Alex Meredith. Dan Piazza has dropped from third down to that fourth position, but he's right there in the game, no problem yet. Dory Ricciuti, Benjamin McCluskey, not where you would expect him to be. Dan Downing holding sway in there behind him. Behind Dan Downing is Schoberg, Jonas Schoberg. They work their way through underneath the Henry's Big Bridge. Alan McCain. Oh, he had a magical second race last week. Also 2 weeks back, should I say. Looks like Sean Skitter has had an incident. In there behind that is Mark Sykes. Behind that is David Dugakiki. Eduardo is the next man in there. Let's have a look at our LMP3 guys. Mr. Mark Baker leads them out ahead of... Oh, Paul Scott. Paul Scott's up into that second position ahead of Mike Riedner. And then behind him comes Trevor Evans. And then Sean Skitter. But the reason why Skitter's at the back of that pack is because he's had a bit of an incident. Let's see exactly what did happen to him. Turns in all fine, obviously gearing down and braking at the same time. That didn't work out for him. An incident for Jorge Benitez. We did manage to have a look at that one. Let's see what other incidents there has been out there. Well, that's just about all the incidents that's been in there. But there's a lot of guys in the pits. Can you believe it? Jamie Dory he's on his way out of the pits now. Is Jamie Dory. Sean Skitter, he's in the pits. Jorge Benitez is in there as well. Paul Williams is in the pits as well. There he comes through now. So that massive shunt, and I think Gaza, yep, there's Gaza as well. Well, he's not going to be happy with that. He was on the outside of the circuit when that incident happened, and well, he had nowhere to go. They just took him with, they said good night, cheers, have a nice day, and he was just shunted off onto the outside of the circuit. Benjamin McCluskey in the Porsche as we ride on board with him. McCluskey in behind Dory Ricciuti. Nice and smooth, the two of them. Dan Downing right in there behind them. Dan Piazza Sr. just a little bit further forward than that. Let's get a track map up for you that you can see exactly where they are on the circuit. That's the leaders that's working their way down towards turn number 1. There is your front batch of cars all the way down. There comes Mark Sykes, Alan McCain, David Eduardo, Igor Martinez. They're all there and thereabouts. Dan is starting to put the pressure on. That's how far he is off the back end of Alex Meredith. Now, Alex Meredith, I think, has done very well to qualify in the second row of the grid and hold on to that third position as well. Oh, Dan using the circuit and a little bit more. Look how he's sawing away at the steering wheel. Gets the power down. A short change on the gears there because that was second gear coming out of that corner. Short change it into third. Make sure it doesn't dial in too much wheel spin. Nice and tight. Oh, gets on the gas nice and early. Just listen to the accelerator. Play with it, play with it, play with it all the way through the corner. Now you start easing it in, get the hammer down underneath the Henry's Bridge. Up into 6th gear, 7th gear. No lift off whatsoever. Climbing to that slipstream behind Alex Meredith. Slowly but surely closing up all the way. Scrub off almost 200 kilometers an hour. Oh, look at Dan sawing away at that steering wheel. All those little corrections he desperately wants to try and make up that position. Let's see what can he do as they work their way into the straight. I think he's close enough to be able to actually pick up that slipstream. Will it work for him? No, it doesn't. He's not getting any closer. It's 0.2. Nope, he's actually lost out towards the end of the straight, so maybe just a very good gear change there by Alex Meredith, maybe just a bit of an over rev by Dan, and that's what made up the difference. The gap is starting to open up a little bit at the front. Neil slightly falling off the back end of a Stefan. A little bit further down, Mr. Benjamin McCliskey on the back end of Dory Ricciuti. Look back, that's what it looks like. Let's listen to those revs. Oh, front end washed away on McCliskey. He had to roll out of the gas. Almost sounds like he's hitting the rev limiter. But Ricciuti, with that little error that happened directly behind him by this man, Benjamin McCliskey, that is what has brought that man into play. That's Dan Downing. Let's have a look from Dan Downing's car underneath the Henry's Bridge. You just keep the hammer down, you grit your teeth, squint your eyes, and just keep on trucking flat foot all the way through there. No lift off whatsoever. Into Canada corner, 3 gears down, the 17 car of Dan Downing. Through turn 13. You've got to get this one correct, because this is what carries the speed, your terminal speed. Let's have a look at that. What speed? 240, 5th gear, 6th gear, 260, 270, 280, 290, 7th gear, 296 kilometers an hour. Dan Downing trying to put the pressure onto Benjamin McCliskey. Right there in front of him, you see Benjamin McCliskey. That's the man that's closest to him, is Benjamin. 4th gear, down the moraine sweep, underneath the bridge they go. He's going to set himself up for that very tight turn 5, a left-hander. Late on the brakes, use everything that there is outside. Don't get an off track. You don't want to get too many off tracks at all. Nice and smooth through there. Oh, he took it very gingerly through there. What has happened to Mr. Nick Clibbins? He finds himself in 11th position. Let's have a look at the gains and losses at this stage of the fight. Nick 1 position up. He's moved up into 11th position, so it's not going too great for him. Stefan Wessels, that started at the front, still finds himself at the front of the pack. Benjamin on the move. Benjamin is on the move. He's going to have a look up on that inside line. Is he going to be able to make it stick? Now he's going to find himself on the outside. Oh, he can't come across the line. He's got to stay out there. Make sure that they don't make any contact, and that almost costs him another position, because Dan Downing saw the opportunity at that point to try and climb in there and make up that 1 position, but unfortunately there was just not enough space for him at that point. I see Alex McCain has had a bit of an off circuit. Let's see what happened to Alex. Oh, Alan's actually gone back into the pits. Wow. So whatever that was, it was... Oh, Mike Ridner's had a crash. Let's see what happened to Mike Ridner. He was doing so well in his class. Was Mike Ridner. Wow, that's a strange one. He just locks it up and goes in the opposite direction. That was very strange. Maybe there's a bit of damage on that motor car that we're not aware of, that it handled like that. But that really didn't work out for him very nicely whatsoever. Dan is in the house. He's doing it all right. He's in that 4th position. Dan Piazza Senior. Just 3/10 off Meredith. Meredith's having a stonker of a race so far. Meredith in that top 3. Jonas is having a good one as well. Well, is he having a good one now, or did he have a bad quali? The quali didn't go the way he wanted it to, and Jonas Schoberg has moved up 8 positions. Apart from Duncan Murray, who's moved up 11, who started basically off the back end of the pack. he being Jonas, is the second biggest gain of everybody. 10 minutes 44 of the 20 minutes of round number 2. And we're at Road America. For those of you that have joined us late, this is where we are. Next Gen Racing, Proto Season 4, Round 2, Road America, racing in prototypes. That's what we're doing. And the circuit that we are on is the classic Road America circuit. That is where we are today for the second round. Remember last week, this time, we had the GT3s on Road America. And now we've got the Protos that's out there. So let's have a look from the top end down. Remember this guy? His name's Stefan Wessels. He's the man to catch up front, no doubt. Neil Ferrier not taking no for an answer. Doing a lovely job. He qualified very well in the top 4. Holds on to that second position without too much problem whatsoever. Meredith, trying to work his way through there. Past the LMP3 car, and let's put up a battle box so we can see exactly who it was. That was Mike Ridner that he just passed. Alex Meredith, remember Ridner in a different class. Dan Piazza Sr. started in 3rd in that 4th position. Benjamin McCluskey, that's how far back he is, so big gap for Benjamin McCluskey to make up if he wants to break into the top 4. Dory Ricciuti right in there. Dan Downing, Dan almost looked like he was going to go for a move there. Dan Downing all over the back of Ricciuti. McCluskey dives out, trying to get past Mike Ridner. Ridner trying to stay out of the way as best as he possibly can, but there's such a big difference. There's like 13 seconds between an LMdH and an LMP3 on this circuit. So let's have a look. Talking about those LMP3s, Mark Baker, he'll be happy with that one. He's leading it out and by quite a margin. Yes, he is 5 seconds away from Paul Williams, but that's not his problem. He's leading his class, and that's what it's all about. For the LMP3 guys, where is Paul Scott? Not even in the same shot. Paul Scott 9 seconds further back. Trevor Evans a long way down, 13 seconds further back. So the LMP3s have opened up completely. Guys working their way through there. That's Downing, Ricciuti just gone through. Just ahead of that will be McCluskey. Mike Ridner has had so much traffic around him, and there's some more coming. Let's see how quickly they actually close up from behind. Just look at the closing speed. Put the power down, just blast past. Look at that. Amazing. There comes Justice. Justice will dive up on the other side. So thank you very much. I'll take that one away. And that's the difference in pace between them. Nick Gibbons, well, it's not working out for Nick at this stage of the fight. He's nowhere near where we expected him to be. He's nowhere near where he wants to be whatsoever. He's outside of the top 15, is Nick Gibbons. Oh, Dan Piazza's on the move. Let's have a look at that one. Side by side. Meredith. Oh, they're just about rubbing bumpers. Look at that. Senior having a look around the outside. They go nose to nose. Remember, these guys are Class A 3.4 and 4.59. Alex Meredith, a very, very, very high rating in terms of public racing. So he's obviously a man that knows how to keep it all together. What a lovely little battle that was between the two of them. Let's have a look a little bit further back. Dan Downing, is he losing out to Dory Ricciuti? Just a little. Just a little. Let's have a look at the last lap times. Keeping in mind that we've got not a lot of time left whatsoever. Alex Meredith a half a second slower than Benjamin McCliskey, but McCliskey is 3 seconds behind him, so I don't think that's going to make that much difference whatsoever. I think pretty much where they are is where they're going to be, except for Dory Ricciuti. Dory Ricciuti is on the back of Uncle Dan, and he wants through. He knows there's not a lot of time. Through turn 14 they go. If this car had a number plate on it, that's where the number plate would sit. As they work their way up over the rise, there's the pits on the right hand side. Only see one car plus the pace car there in the pits, as we follow Ricciuti as he works his way through in there behind the trees. 3.5 minutes still to go for Wessels. Eduardo is onto the back of Igor Martinez. The two sister cars, very similar pace. You can see the marks on the grass. Somebody went for a ride there. Can he make that passing maneuver stick? It looks like he does. Eduardo has gotten past Igor Martinez. Jamie Dory's just had an off circuit, but I didn't have an accident as such, so that looks okay. A bit of a battle further back. Oh, there's battles everywhere. Gazza's trying to make a fight back, the same as last week. It just didn't work out for Gazza Williams, and he once again finds himself trying to work his way through the pack. But as they are now, that means that Gazza's going to be right at the sharp end if they do the pole invert for race number 2. So with just 2 more minutes to go, a big thanks to all of our sponsors: Sam Cases, Mark Sykes Designs, Motorsport UK Esports, Choice Design, Higgins Automotive, Douglas Motorsport, Benji Sim, and Power Max. The big thanks to all of these guys that have made this all possible for us to enjoy. Well, Jonas is not finished with his fight yet. I see Craig Tillotson is out there. Moves to the side, lets the other cars go past. Tillotson really battled last week. It wasn't a happy session for him. Jonas still out there and fighting. He hasn't given up yet. He's in that 9th position. He's going to get one more lap in after this one, probably. Mark Sykes is the man that he wants. Mark Sykes, wow, Mark is high up. He's had a pretty decent run. Finds him, take tail end wag. He finds himself in a pretty decent position. Let's have a quick look at those gains and losses. Stefan Wessels, that started at the front end of the field, still leads them out. There comes Neil. There comes Alex. There comes Benjamin. There comes Dan Piazza Sr., Dory Ricciuti, Dan Downing. They're all in the same picture. Jonas is in there as well. Mark Sykes is in there as well. Can you believe it? That's the top 9 that are all within literally one camera shot of one another. That is amazing stuff. That is really amazing. Stefan Wessels on his way to yet another victory. Or is it going to be one more lap? No, it looks like it's going to be the white flag. Oh dear, they've got to go around again. One more lap for Stefan Wessels. And let's enjoy that lap with Stefan. Let's ride on board with the fastest man out there in the LMdH. Down the moraine sweep. Slightly unsighted as it curves and goes downhill. Down towards turn number 5. Use as much of the curbstone as possible, but don't let it unsettle you. Turns it in nice and tight. That was all fine. Turn 6. through turn 7, just a light lift off. Hurry downs down towards turn 8, another 3 gears down. Underneath the Speedville Bridge, you're riding on board with Stefan Wessels, the man that started in pole position. He was the fastest in practice, he was the fastest in qualifying. He's led every single lap of this race, and he is working his way past where the kink would have been. We're not using the kink. Through Kettle Bottoms down towards Canada Corner. 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd. Rather the low revs in 3rd and the high revs in 2nd. A little bit of a short change there. Up into 5th, feather the accelerator. And that's how you work your way as the fastest man around the island. And here he comes up towards the start-finish line to take away yet another victory as he goes from side to side. There comes Nick Ferrier. The next man through will be Alex Meredith. Directly behind that is then Benjamin McCliskey is the next man that comes through. And then they just come piling through behind that. Dan Piazza Sr., Dory, Dan Downing, Jonas, Mark Sykes, Eduardo Toldo, Martinez is in there as well. Igor Martinez, David, Justin Stakiokos. They're actually very close to one another after 20 minutes of racing. Can you believe it? Nick Clibbons, Duncan Murray, 12 positions up, starting off the back end of the pack. Jamie Dory still on his way through there as well. There comes Duncan Murray, a man that also rides in the South African Series. He'll come up, pick up that checkered flag. Jamie Dory for the last time coming up towards the line. You see Tillotson there in the background. There comes Tillotson up the hill. Gazza still a long way back. Here's Paul Williams. 16 places down for Gazza Williams. He'll be chomping at the bit on that one. Paul Williams up towards the line. Takes the superior pace of that vehicle. And he's the last man to come across the line. Well, that's 20 minutes come and gone, done and dusted. NXTGEN Racing Proto Season 4 round number 2 from Road America in prototypes. The LMdH is the quicker of the two variations of cars that there is out there. The LMP3 is around about 13 seconds a lap slower. Stefan Wessels started in pole and, well, he just up-dusted and disappeared. Once again, a lovely drive by Stefan Wessels, but that's going to put him right at the back of the pack when they start with the main race. Neil Ferrier from Alex Meredith, Benjamin McCliskey, Dan Dory, Dan Downing, the number 17. And they were all pretty close to one another if you think about it. Dan Piazza from the Old Dogs crew, all the way from Dan through Dory, Dan Downing and Jonas Schoberg. Mark Sykes had a pretty nice one, the NXTGEN Racing entry, the 666. Eduardo in there as well. Let's have a look just a little bit further down that grid, or should I say down the results. There we go, Mr. Mark Baker, Speed 9 Esports. We actually didn't have enough footage of the LMP3s in this race. We're going to have to get some more in the feature race. Paul Scott coming through in that second position. All of them one lap down, but as we said, 13 seconds a lap difference in the ability of the fastest LMP3 driver and the fastest LMdH driver, which was Mark Baker and then Stefan Wessels respectively. So that is how that one played itself out all the way down to the tail end of the field. So we're going to take a bit of a break and we're going to come back to you with the main event. For those of you that have just joined us, this is where we are, the iconic circuit of the Road America, built in Elkhart Lake in Wisconsin. It's a permanent road course built in 1950. It covers 640 acres with 400 events per year, 4.08 miles, 6.5 kilometers of happiness. What else can you call it? It is happiness. That's what it's all about. A big thanks to all of our sponsors that are involved with our series. So folks, we're going to take a short break and then we will be coming back to you with the main event. Don't go away. Get yourself a nice something cold or something nice and warm to drink. Come and sit down in the lounge and join us for round number 2 of Proto Season 4 Next Gen Racing from Road America, the feature event to be coming up next. So folks, the guys are just busy getting themselves sorted out. They've got the inverted grid which has been sorted out. Everybody's busy clicking in to the feature race. Remember, that feature race is going to be 1 hour. So let's just give everybody an opportunity to get in behind the steering wheel, clicked in, logged on, plugged in, and good to go. And it's in about 6 minutes from now, we're going back to the Road America road course, built in Elkhart Lake area, just outside of Wisconsin, for round number 2 of the Proto Series. Proto being prototype. Next week, same time, we'll be back with more Next Gen Racing. It will be the GT3s, and that'll be round number 3, and that'll be from Spa, the Grand Prix layout. Now that's going to be really nice. Keep in mind that the GT3 season and the Proto season are running every second week, bi-weekly, so twice a month. We've had round number 1. This is the last race now for round number 2. Then we're going to go to GT3s in Spa. We'll go back to the Protos in Spa. Then we'll go to Monza with the GT3s, do the Protos the following week, Catalunya Historical, and then we will go to Daytona Road Course. So still a long way to go with the 2 series, Next Gen Racing Season 4 and Season 5 of the 2 different styles respectively. Very nice size fields, very high ratings that the drivers have got of all the series that I've done. I must say, it's not that often that you see so many Class A drivers. In fact, of all the cars out there, there's 1 Class C, 3 Class Bs, everybody else is Class A. The average rating, license rating, around about the 3.6 mark, going with the likes of Paul Williams to 4.99. I don't think I've ever seen anything that high. Mark Ridner, 4.85. That's very, very high I rating. That just shows the quality of the drivers that we have here. So we almost 10 minutes in. 3 minutes from now, we're going to be going live for the last 2 minutes of the practice session. We're going to put the grid up. It's going to be an inverted grid. How does that work? Where you qualify is where you start in race number 1. Where you end in race number 1, otherwise known as the sprint, is where you then get an inverted grid, and that is where you then start. So yep, the likes of Gazza Williams, that had a disastrous round number 1, is going to find himself at the front end of the pack, and Stefan Wessels, that had a brilliant round, fastest in practice, fastest in quali, led everything from lights to flag. He's going to be starting off the back end of the LMdH cars, and well, to get through is going to be something else. Although what plays in his favor is the quality of the people that he's racing with, because it's a very, very high standard, and hence so few incidents that happen in a race. It's very seldom that we have a major pile up, and yeah, I think it's a brilliant series. So don't go away. We'll be back with you in a couple of minutes. Well, folks, we're back with you again, and this is the one you've been waiting for. This is the biggie. This is the last minute, 10 seconds of the practice. Everybody's had an opportunity to get logged in and good to go. It's going to be the reverse grid of the result of race number 1. So that is where we're at right now. NXTGEN Racing Proto Season 4, round number 2, Road America in prototypes, brought to you by Second Gear Productions. Myself, Gary Geza Fleming, from the southern tip of Africa, and we're coming to you from, as we said, Road America. This is going to be lovely stuff. I must say, the first proto race that we had of the season was really great. Wow, it was awesome. And looking forward to this one as well. Alan just moves off onto the side of the circuit. Nick's still working his way around. He needs a biggie. Nick Clibbins, didn't work out well for him in the first heat, the sprint race. Just 7 seconds to go. Oh, somebody's had a big accident there. I think that could have been Jamie Dory. Yeah, that's Jamie. No, it's Alan McCain that's actually gone off the circuit there. So that brings that to a close. Let's have a look-see. The grid should be ready for us pretty soon. As soon as the computer has worked it out, let's have a shofty at that. Wesley Lewin from Alan McCain. Gaza is on the second row of the grid with Paul Williams, Craig Tillotson, Jamie Dory, Duncan Murray, Nick Clibbins. Now, Nick Clibbins needs to make use of this one. He really needs to, because it didn't go well for him initially. Look there, Mark Sykes, Schoberg, Dan Downing. The big hitters coming off the back of the pack. Stefan Wessels, Neil Ferrier, Alex Meredith. Brilliant round by him. Benjamin McCliskey, Dan Piazza Sr., Dory Ricciuti, Dan Downing. They're all in there. Look at that. Just about good to go. 1 hour of racing it's going to be. Starting off in those inverted positions. Let's see who's not made it out onto the grid yet. Eduardo Tualdo is not, and Mike Ridner. That's the only two guys that have not made it onto the grid yet. There you can see there's the gap. That one's sorted out. And it looks like they're going to... yeah, in the pits, Eduardo Tualdo and Mike Ridner, they're going to be starting in the pits. So they were not timiest in getting good to go. There's the front end of the pack. 1 hour of racing from Road America, brought to you by Second Gear Productions. Wesley Lewin, Alan McCain. Well, is Alan going to do like what he did 2 weeks back? Hold out, get a bit of a gap and hold out for a long, long time. Here they go, up towards turn number 1. It's Wesley Lewin that leads out. Gazza's right in there behind him. In fact, Gazza's trying to have a go and get up onto that inside line as they work their way down in towards turn number 1. Gazza's got himself up into that second position. This is Alan McCain, that's the next one in there. Everybody seems to have gotten through quite fine at this. Oh, can you believe it? Wesley Lewin goes off, and well, it looks like that's Marcello Felix and Alan McCain as well. That's out of it. That opens up the front door for Gazza. Gazza goes to the front. He's got Paul Williams in there behind him. Jamie Dory in that third position. Then it's Nick Clibbins. He's got to make use of this one. Duncan Murray, somebody's gone wide there in the background. Dory Ricciuti. Igor Martinez has just made up that one position. Up on the inside, he went on the previous corner. They're ducking and diving one another all over the show. Lots and lots of desperate passing maneuvers. Mark Seitz. Right on the edge of this circuit, but Paul Williams is having a go. Paul Williams is on the back of Gazza, dives towards the opposite side of the circuit. Gazza closing off that line. Jamie Dory not that far behind. There's Jamie Dory. In there behind him is Nick Clibbins. Clibbins has got a bit of a gap on Ricciuti. Ricciuti knows he cannot let this front group get away. There's 1.8 seconds between himself and the rest of the pack running wide. That looked like Igor Martinez that ran it just a little bit wide. There's Igor Martinez. Justice Stakiokis. Duncan Murray. Oh, look how they're fighting for those positions. Hard on the brakes. Turn it into turn number 1. Nothing much in it there at this stage of the fight. Duncan Murray fighting for his life in this one. In there behind Justice Stakiokis. But he's got Mark Sykes and then Stefan Wessels busy closing down. Dan Piazza on the back of Jonas. Can he make that move stick pretty quickly? He's got to get through there. He dives towards the inside. Looks like he'll make that one work for him. Dan Piazza moves up past Jonas Schoberg. Now he's still got Dan Downing in front of him, and ahead of Dan Downing is the man that he actually needs to try and follow through, and that is Stefan Wessels. Where is Stefan Wessels? He is up 12 positions. How do you make up 12 positions in such a short period of time? Crazy stuff out there. Justice Stakiokis. And behind Dory Ricciuti. Not a lot of sign writing on that car. He keeps it plain and simple and fast. Mark Sykes trying to make the move. He's gonna, oh, I think he might be able to make that one work. Mark Sykes, yes he does. Up on the inside of Duncan Murray. Turns it in very tight. Duncan gets the hammer down, but now becomes a four-way battle. Stefan Wessels is right in there as well. Stefan's got to make sure that they don't make contact and then take him out as well. Stefan Wessels right in there with him. That's right on board with Stefan Wessels. Up the front main he goes. Onto the back of the South African Duncan Murray. I'm sure he's going to dive towards the inside. Probably find Duncan. No, Duncan's quick enough. He's good on the brakes. Duncan Murray holds out. Mark Sykes having the race of his life. He's in that 8th position. There he makes up lots and lots of ground. Dives towards the right hand side. That's where Stefan Wessels is so good. You make the slightest error and he capitalizes on it. Is he going to bring Dan Downing with him? Dan wants in as well. Dan's now going to be on that outside line. Dan Downing makes up that position on the Piazza. Oh, Piazza's actually dropped down quite a bit on that one. So let's have a look. What's happening up front? Who's it going to be? Gareth Gaza. Gaza's in the house. He's up front. Look at that. Well, it went terrible for race number 1. He's making use of it this time. There's Paul Williams in that 2nd position. Jamie Dory's there as well. Nick Clibbins, no errors. Nick Clibbins, he wants to be in that top 5. They have broken away from the next man in the pack, and there he comes. Igor Martinez. Behind him is Dory Ritchie. Then just behind Dory Ritchie is Justice Stakiokis. Mark Sykes, a bit of a gap back to him. Stefan Wessels closing down on Mark Sykes. Can Dan Downing follow him through? I think it's quite possible. Stefan's gone up 13. Dan's gone up 6. If Dan can just somehow stay close enough to Stefan, as Stefan gets held up little bits here and there, he can then maybe just follow through on those errors and those passing maneuvers. Dan Piazza Senior, he won't be happy. 7 positions up, but he needs to get more than that. Remember, he's gotten past Neil Ferrier. Ferrier's up 9. Piazza's up 7. Dan Downing is up 6. Stefan is up 13 positions. Stefan Wessels, but check this one out. The fastest man, the fastest lap so far, only 2 positions up, is Benjamin McCluskey. So he is on a flyer. Something must have happened that Benjamin is still that far down. Let me see if I can maybe pick up that incident for you, because Benjamin McCluskey, well, he did have a off circuit at one stage. Could that have cost him so much time? Nope, not really. it wasn't that bad. So that alone wouldn't have been enough for Benjamin McCliskey to be that far down. But he'll make up positions. Talking about making up positions, Nick Clibbins on the tail end of Jamie Dory. Let's ride on board with Nick Clibbins onto the back of Jamie Dory. Let's get a battle box up there where you can see who, beware, what and how. Let's get a track map up. Leaders, that's going out into the front main. Gaza 2.7, no 2.3. Oh, Paul Williams is closing up just a little. Jamie Dory will be riding on board with Nick Clibbins. A 2.3 gap behind him. Well, you can just see the lights. That's all that he can see behind him, nothing more. So that's quite fine. Nick Clibbins can concentrate not on Igor Martinez that's behind him. He can concentrate on Nick Clibbins and Jamie Dory that's in front of him. Let's climb into that right-hand front suspension wheel arch. Oh, Nick Clibbins running it hard through the gears. Clibbins in behind Dory and Williams. And Gaza's holding out. Gaza is holding out. He is not getting closed down whatsoever. Is this going to be a possible maiden victory as we ride on board with Nick Clibbins? Now, Justice Stakiotis is starting to put the pressure on Dory Ricciuti on the back of Igor Martinez as they work their way through the carousel. Now, for those of you that are not on iRacing or not had an opportunity to race on this circuit, that corner they were just going through, the carousel, it's a very tricky corner. You can't go through there flat foot. You've got to ease it through the corner. But the whole trick about the carousel is to enter it correctly, and when you get to the correct part of that corner, you need to be on the apex of that corner at the right point, and from there on you can then run flat foot to get maximum speed coming out of the corner. Now, to do that is very difficult, and that is why a lot of time is made and lost going through the carousel. Gaza on his way through 3, on his way down through the moraine sweep. There's Paul Williams in there behind him. Look at that. Jamie Dory still holding out on Nick Clibbins. Igor Martinez, the pressure's on for him. Dory Ricciuti right in there behind him. There's Dory Ricciuti. Now, further back, 1.7 seconds is Stefan Wessels. How long will it take Stefan Wessels to close down that 1.7 seconds? We had a ride with him earlier on. Let's ride with the main man. 15 positions up into that 7th position. Started in 22nd. It's down to just over a second. Listen to the revs. Play with it. Play with it. Apex. Bang it. Bury the accelerator. 6th gear, 7,600, 7,700 RPM, 7,800, up into 7th gear, 7,400 RPM, scrub off close to 200 kilometers an hour. Ooh, sawing away at the steering wheel. Stefan Wessels has actually lost a little bit of ground with that one to Dory Ricciuti. Now remember, Dory is pretty close to Igor Martinez. He's 0.6 of a second, so there's more chance of Dory closing up on Igor Martinez than what there is of Stefan Wessels closing up on the back of Dory Ricciuti, because of the fact that you don't have that amount of slipstream. Dan Piazza Sr. onto the back of Mark Sykes. That's a part of the track that we were just on earlier, a couple of seconds ago, with Stefan Wessels. Dan Piazza all over the back end of Mark Sykes. Let's have a look at that from upstairs. That's what it looks like as they come through underneath the bridge. Putting the pressure on Dan Piazza in that 10th position overall. Started 18th Dan Downing in there behind him. Directly behind Dan Downing is Neil Ferrier. Now remember, Ferrier was the man that came second in race number 1. He's gone up 9 positions, which is brilliant. It's brilliant. But Stefan Vessel's gone up 15. Dory Ricciuti's gone up 11. He's only gone up 9 positions, and that puts him under immense pressure. Yes, there's still 47.5 minutes to go. But when you've got this kind of a situation, you've got to go some. That is Neil Ferrier, the man that came second in the sprint race. He needs to make up position. Well, he's lucky. He's got 4 cars. Is that luck or is it bad luck? He's got 4 cars right in front of him, so he can make up a number of positions pretty quickly. But at the same time, while he's stuck behind those cars, it's costing him lap times. Gazza is pulling away at the front. He said, first race, not so nice. Second race, he's going to make a plan and make it worthwhile. Dan Downing on Mark Sykes. Mark Sykes is like the train driver. He's got this train of cars behind him. Downing going to have a look. Nah, Sykes good enough on the brakes. Marky holds him out. And while that's happening, Neil Ferrier doesn't have a way to get through. Let's have a look at the last lap times that they have put up. Look at that, 48.1. That's very quick. If you think he's been in the traffic, you'll probably find that this lap is going to be notably slower, because as we follow Ferrier for a lap, he is stuck in the traffic, and I'm pretty sure that's going to cost him pretty badly. In the meantime, it's Dory Ricciuti that's got a train of cars in front of him as well. Let's see, can he hold on to that one? Can he put pressure? 48.08, 48.07 by Igor Martinez, just 100th of a second. LMP3 car moves out of the way, lets them come flying through. Clibbins is on the move. Clibbins is right on the back end of Jamie Dory. Jamie Dory, 1 minute 50.112. So he got held up in traffic, and that cost him pretty badly. Now it's Igor Martinez that's on the move. Comes up alongside on Clibbins. Igor Martinez, I'm sure he's on the right line. He takes it away from Clibbins. The snow car is doing everything he needs to. Stefan Vessel slowly but surely trying to close down. These LMP3 guys don't know where to go. Talking about LMP3s, what's happening? Mr. Mark Baker is leading them out once again. 2 minute .183. That is within a couple of hundredths of the fastest qualifying time that there was for race number 1. So not having broken that golden 2 minute barrier, Jorge Bentes once again in the top 3. He'll be pretty chuffed with that one. He's not far off Mark Baker whatsoever, and he's got a bit of airtime behind him, because there comes Paul Scott. 6 seconds further back is Paul Scott. Paul Scott's got a bit of open space between himself and Sean Skitter. Clibbins and Dan coming through there. Also, there was Dory and Clibbins that just came past him. That's Sean Skitter that we're with. The next man behind that, 5th in class. And the LMP3s also moving out of the way for the big hitters to come past. That's Eduardo Tuvaldo that just came past him. Moves right out of the way for them. That's Trevor Evans. Mike Ridner. 9 seconds further back is Mike Ridner. Let's go to where the action is. It's Dory Ricciuti. Dory Ricciuti on the back end there of Jamie Dory. But that's not where the happiness starts. The problem is that, and that's Nick Clibbins. Yes, he's gotten past Nick Clibbins, but that's Nick Clibbins behind him. Going past the second place Jorge Benitez. Oh, trying to get past Benitez. Benitez gets in the way. So Benitez was not prepared to lose out time on a Mark Baker. Hence that titanic struggle to get through there. And that opens it up just a little bit. And while they are busy with that, it looks like somebody must have gone off because that leaderboard has just changed. Stefan Wessels actually went off track. Was that part of that same incident? Oh, that's gonna be a turn up for the books. Can you believe it? Look at that motorcar over Stefan Wessels. Well, that is going to be a turn up for the books because that front suspension is mashed on that motorcar. It doesn't want to just back out of it. It's going to try and drive it back to the pits, try and stay out of the way. Left hand front is completely locked up on that motorcar, and Stefan Wessels is losing ground, a hand over fist. Stefan Wessels dropping right out of it, and that's going to open up the door for most everybody else, because Stefan Wessels going around the track as slow as that, well, it's dropped him all the way out of the top 15. A lot of damage to the front of that motor car. I wonder if that left hand front wheel is now turning again, because it was completely locked up. Here he comes through the last corner up towards the pits. Let's just go through the pain and suffering of Stefan Wessels. Locks it up as he comes into the pits. Slow run into the pits. It must feel like forever. Everybody is just piling past him. Yep, that left hand front is still locked up. Now he should be able to have a, it almost looks like it's just lost the left hand front wheel. There is a quick repair that's available. They'll probably do a tire change with that at the same time. Get some hooligan juice into the car. Oh man, we got to get back to the racing, but we just want to see what it feels like to be out there so long. Car's back down on the deck, and he is about to get going. Oh, a very, very long pit stop for the lead man. Well, it all bodes well for this man. Gareth Williams leads them out. There comes Paul in the background. There's Igor, Jamie, Nick Clibbins. Just had a passing maneuver there as Stefan Wessels comes out of the pits. Will probably be a lap down now at this point. That's one hell of a battle that's going on just in front of that. Dory Ricciuti and Nick Clibbins, that's the blue one that's directly behind that. Neil Ferrier just a little bit further back behind Justice Stakiokis. Closing that gap. When you're sitting that close behind somebody, very difficult to judge the corners, the braking markers as you come up towards the curbstones. Let's just see if he does get a little bit closer, and you'll see how that limits your view. Not only do you have those high wheel pods from the front wheels because of the aerodynamic structure of the front end of that vehicle, but then you've also got that car directly in front of you that makes it very difficult to have a good view of where you're going. Mark Sykes behind Alex Meredith. Still inside the top 15. Jonas in there behind him. Stefan Wessels is completely out of it. There's no way that you can make a plane from there. Dives out for that inside line. Yep, and he makes that one stick. Dory Ricciuti. Can he hold that one? Because remember, Nick Clibbins is right in there behind them as well. You think how small these gaps actually are. Let's ride on the front bumper of Nick Clibbins. Using the outside section of the circuit on that entry. Nick Clibbins directly in front of him, Jamie Dory. Ricciuti just in front of that. Tantalizingly a little bit further forward is Igor Martinez and Paul Williams. They are driving like the devil is sitting beside them in the motor car. They know there's now an opportunity for them to make use of the bad luck of Gazza Williams in heat number 1, which has now turned into a master blaster session because Gazza has got so much open ground behind him. Look at that, not even in the same camera shot back to Paul Williams. 4.3. Williams, Gazza Gareth is on a roll at this stage of the fight. Barring unforeseen circumstances, I don't think anybody's going to catch him. Igor Martinez looking very good. Dory Ricciuti. Nick Clibbins has made it past Jamie Dory. Let's see where that passing maneuver actually happened. Ah, that's why. That is why. Clibbins says, thank you very much. Have a nice day. You play on the grass. I'll go and play there where there's lots of grip. And through he goes. Where is Mr. Mark Baker? There's Mark Baker. 37 seconds in front of him, so lots of open ground. Doesn't have to worry about anybody or anything. He can just do what he does best. But he has to do what he does best because there comes his biggest problem, and his biggest problem is called Jorge Benitez inside of 3 seconds. Not far behind that is Paul Scott, and Paul Scott has just lost out to Alan McCain. But then again, that is 2 different classes. So although it's track position, it's not class position. So not too much of a train smash for him. Behind that is the 4th placed LMP3. That's Sean Skitter. Lots of open ground behind him, all the way back to Trevor Evans, who now only goes into turn number 1. 13 seconds between them. And then Mike Ridner, another 11 seconds back from that. It looks like Justice Stakiokos is in the 14 car, 2 positions up. And I think he wants to go closer towards the front end of the field. He fancies his chances on Jamie Dory. Across the start-finish line. Can he close up enough to be able to make a passing maneuver? I do not think so. No, that's about as close as he's going to get for now. Looking at that left front pod. Look at how much movement there is on that suspension. The circuit is pretty smooth, but at those type of speeds, well, works. Oh, he hammers the gearbox as he goes down through the gears. Gets the tail end wagging just a little underneath the Road America Corvette sponsored bridge. Justice on the back of a Jamie Dory. Mark Baker and Jorge Benitez are both into the pit lane, as is Paul Scott. So your 3 front LMPs are all in the pit lane. Mark Baker, Jorge Benitez, Paul Scott, and in fact Sean Skitter is in there as well. So your front four and the LMP3s, they've pushed it as far as they can. 26 minutes. Don't want to get themselves into unnecessary traffic when they come out of the pits, as we still right on board with Justice Stakiotos on the back of a Jamie Dory. 0.4 of a second, but it's not going to get any better than that. Another man that's busy working his way through is 8 positions up. Sir Benjamin McCliskey starting to make the comeback. The big hitters now into the pit lane. Jamie Dory, Dan Downing, Dan Piazza Sr. All of them have gone into the pit lane. There you see them coming in. Just the three of them. Jamie Dory, Dan Downing, and Piazza, as they work their way into the pits. It feels like a lifetime, and you've got to slow it all down up on the jacks. Do the tires, I'll add enough fuel. We've lost out on Marcelo Felix, we've lost out on David Tugukiki, and Craig Tillotson, unfortunately, once again is out of it. He's not going to be taking any further part. Gaza is on a roll. 5 seconds already is the gap on that man, Paul Williams. Williams is doing a pretty decent job, but Gaza's just got it. This is his one. I think the frustration of having such a bad first race has kicked in, and it's just now head down. The red mist is closed over in that visor, and Gaza has just got the hammer down. Slowly but surely edging away, making sure that if something goes wrong with a pit stop, he's still got a big enough gap to come out in the front. Dory Ricciuti, Nick Clibbins trying to hang on to that one. And here's the big hitters, all of them coming into the pit lane. Let's see if we can pick up a better shot of that for you. There we go. That's the lead car that's in. That's Gaza. There's Paul. There's the Eagle. They're all in. Dory Ricciuti, Nick Evans, Justice Stakiotos, Eduardo. And they've all got to keep those slow speeds as they pick up their boxes. Benjamin McCliskey, Alex Meredith, he's had a pretty good day today. Mark Sykes working as well. Now, who of those guys are going to be the first ones to get out of the pit lane? That's going to be the interesting part. Look at that. There they all stand. The front 9. Where's Alex Meredith? Meredith's also in the pits. Jamie Dory is still out. Jamie Dory, where is he? Well, who's going to be the first man that's going to go out? It's going to be Williams is going to be the first man out. Gaza Williams, then Paul Williams, Nick Clibbins, Igor Martinez, Ricciuti, Stakiokas. Jamie Dory is now up into that 6th position. Now that's all fine and well. We understand that part of it. That's hunky-dory. Benjamin McCliskey. Benjamin's still in. No, Benjamin's already out on track. It's Meredith. It's Eduardo Tualdo and Mark Sykes. That's still in the pits. So, who has done their pit stops and who hasn't? Everybody has. It's just Tualdo that is done 2 stops. Everybody else is Ayoba and doing what they need to do and leading them out. Gaza. But now, what kind of gap has he now got after the compulsory pit stop? I'm going to use the word compulsory because they have to go in. They can choose when to go in, but I don't think the window is that big. Nobody went in out of their own will in less than 25.5 minutes. So it looks like you've only got about a 10-minute window either side. to be able to get in and out of the pits. So Gazza, the man of the moment. Paul Williams, he could be a driver of the day nomination as well. Right in there behind him, Nick Clemens, he'll be happy having gotten out of the pits pretty quickly. Dory Ricciuti, but looking back from Dory Ricciuti, look at that. The train driver, Dory Ricciuti, with a long line of cars behind him. 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th position, all in close attendance. There you can see them, all 4 of them. That's right in there behind Ricciuti. So the pressure is really on for him. Let's have a look at those last lap times. How does it play itself out? Well, Gazza's the quickest man out there, 2:45.01, keeping in mind that that is including the pit stop as well, so that makes for interesting stuff. Clemens is actually going to have a go on the back end of Williams. Fighting back, the new tyres seems to be working for him. Fighting back on Paul Williams, who's been in second for a long time. And I think Nick Clemens, he's on the move. Look, Gazza's gone. You're not going to catch Gazza. And if Clemens maybe can get past Williams, he's got a bit of a gap now on Dory as well. There's the 2 of them. There's Dory directly behind them. There's Jamie. There's Dan Downing. There's Neil Ferrier. Now, Neil Ferrier has done pretty well, if you think about it. He did start from second from the back of the pack. He's up 14 positions, so he is the highest climber of everybody, keeping in mind that we lost out on the main man, Stefan Wessels, who had that massive incident, massive impact with a wall, took the whole front end of the car out, and he's busy with a fight back. Now, we saw Williams do a fight back in one of the previous races. This time, it's Stefan Wessels' chance to try and do the fight back. So Neil Ferrier up 14 positions. That means he started in 23rd. Now, he's got Downing, Dory, Ricciuti, and Clemens directly in front of him. Now, those 3, 4, 5 of them, they're so close to one another. That's not going to be an easy combo to get past, but undoubtedly he does have the pace. You can't get more cars underneath the duvet than that. Nick Clemens has gone up into that second position. Where did Nick Clemens get past Paul Williams? It was right there under the braking markers that he made it stick, and that is how he got up. So Nick Clemens ahead of Dory Ricciuti. Paul Williams wants to play with Jamie Dory, the leading BMW in that group. Oh, they're almost nose to tail. They're almost making contact with one another. Dan Downing's in there as well. Oh, that had to turn to tears. I think it was Downing that's going to be the biggest loser on that lot. It was actually Neil Ferrier that then went off circuit. Let's have another look at that. Now, that in fact was Downing that was late on the brakes, if I've got it correct. Yeah, I think it was Downing that was a bit late on the brakes, and that actually started that one. Nick Clemens having that off track. Oh, just trying a little bit too hard. Dory Ricciuti says, thanks, pal. I made a mistake, but now you made a mistake. So let's just correct the positions as far as he's concerned. Igor Martinez in behind Ferrier. Neil Ferrier 1.2 off the back end of Jamie Dory. So where is our leading LMP3? He's in 20th overall. Nobody other than that man, Mr. Mark Baker, in the 53 car. calm, quiet and reserved. 8 places up. Okay, Benitez 13 seconds further back. Oh, that's Nick Lippens going around the outside of him. The next man in the LMP3s, another 5 seconds further back is Paul Scott. A little bit further back behind that, just about in the same shot, Sean Skitter. And then Mike Ridner finds himself a long way back. He's got a massively high A rating, but it's not going well for him today. Not where he would like to be or want to be. But Neil Ferrier has made up the most positions of everybody. The man that came second in race number 1, 17 positions up. But if you really think about it, the real battle, in fact, is Benjamin McCluskey. And if we look forward from Benjamin McCluskey's car, those two that's in front of him, Benjamin's up 11. Dan, that started just in front of him, is up 11. And that's Dan Piazza Sr. And then Dan Downing is up 10 positions. So all of them hauling their way through the pack pretty effectively. Let's have a look at their last lap times. Is McCluskey quick enough? Oh yeah, 147.9 or 148.1, 2/10 that he has caught on Dan Piazza Sr. But that's because of the battle between Piazza Sr. and Dan Downing that McCluskey was then so much quicker. But Dan Downing being involved in that previous incident, that brought him almost 1.9 seconds slower on the previous lap. Dan Piazza Sr. trying to have a look. He's right up onto the back bumper. Now he dives onto the outside line. That's not where you want to be if you want to go. Well, he makes it right around the outside. What a lovely piece of driving. You don't find many people going around the outside of that third last corner, going through Canada Corner, around the outside, through Canada Corner. And Dan Piazza Sr. passes Dan Downing. And there behind them is McCluskey. Look how close McCluskey's got. Let's have a look at the lap times. 49.1, 49.9. That's where that passing maneuver came. And a 48.0, just a 10th, as we ride on board with Benjamin McCluskey. It's now or never. 20 minutes ago. Dive to the right, dive to the left. Sell him a sucker move. Do you block him? Nope. You do the gentlemanly thing and then you go for the passing maneuver thereafter. He could have actually done a dirty and blocked him in behind the LMP3, but he did the gentlemanly thing. He almost put himself away. He put two wheels right on the edge of the dirt to make sure that he did not affect Dan Downing in that one. So McCluskey a 10th quicker on the last lap than Piazza Sr. Interesting to see how their lap times play out. Have a look at that map on the right hand side. This man Gazza Williams, that's how far he is ahead of everybody else. What a swan song for him. Terrible race number 1, magnificent race number 2. Dory Ricciuti now 10 seconds further back. Nick Libbens holding on to that third. Neil Ferrier. How far behind is he? Not far at all. Igor Martinez, not far at all. Dan, not far. Benjamin is right there with him, and I think he is. Benjamin's a little bit quicker than Dan Downing. Benjamin is getting a 48.0, a 49.6 for Dan. He got passed by 2 cars on the last lap, and that's what took him out of it. Gazza 47.7, pretty much the same as Dan Piazza. The two of them on the last lap were the quickest out there. The third quickest was in fact Neil Ferrier. Now Ferrier on a 47.9 and a 48.2, so 3/10. Neil Ferrier quicker than Nick Clibbins. He got a second in the previous race. Can he close up on Clibbins? Let's ride on board with Neil Ferrier. Now you see that blue dot in front? That be Nick Clibbins. Playing with that accelerator. Apex. Oh, there's a car coming back onto the circuit. He can't get the hammer down straight away. He had to just feather it for a little bit longer. And that is going to open up the gap just a little to the back end of Clibbins. Dan the Man's on the move. Igor Martinez and Dan Piazza Sr. Martinez just in front of Piazza. Last corner. Line it up. Make sure you get good drive out of the corner. That wasn't great drive. Oh, and he got a little bit of oversteer on it as well. I don't believe that he's going to be able to get to Igor Martinez. Martinez dives towards the wall, trying to do the little move to make sure that there's not too much slipstream. Even though he closes up at the end of the straight, that oh, Dan Piazza is so on the edge. He's sawing away at that steering wheel. But what's happening in front of him is one thing, but the other problem is that it's directly behind him. That's Benjamin McCliskey. That's what 0.2 of a second looks like to a man that has just taken a tenth out of you. He's now 0.2 behind you. That means he's going to be starting to rub your back bumper in the not too distant future. There you can see all three of them in shot. Igor Martinez, Dan Piazza, Benjamin McCliskey. Now Dan Downing is a little bit further back than that. Let's see, whereabouts is Dan? There he comes now. That's McCliskey, and where is Dan? There's Dan in the background. So he can see them. Seeing them is one thing, getting to them is another. And still, Gaza does what he does best. Put the pressure on, get the hammer down, and get himself a bit of a gap. Duncan Murray down 5, Jamie Dory down 5. The man we're riding on board with, Dan Downing, going past the Mike Ridner LMP3 that is in 24th position. The difference between the LMdH and the LMP3 is about 13 seconds in total. So that's quite a bit. So let's go from the top end of the field down. And let's just look at these individual performances. Gaza, terrible. Race 1, lovely. Race number 2, insurmountable odds in his favor. Dory Ricciuti, Nick Clibbins, Neil Ferrier, Igor Martinez, Dan Piazza right in there behind him. McCliskey now ahead of Dan Downing. Meredith a little bit further back this time. Justice Stakiotis, Jamie Dory from Duncan Murray that finds himself 21 seconds further back. So in that 12th position, I don't believe Duncan Murray is going to be able to do anything much from there. Jonas Schoberg, 4 seconds further back. Stefan Wessels on the world's biggest comeback. But how many positions can Wessels make up? There's some very big gaps further forward. And no matter how hard you run with 15 to go, Stefan Wessels just ahead there of Paul Williams, and then Sykes directly in behind him, Mark Sykes. LMP3s, you got it, Mr. Mark Baker, making it look like a toddle in the pop. Even the likes of Jorge Benitez does not have an answer for Mark Baker. Mark Baker in the LMP3s, Gazelle Williams in the LMdH class in this 1 hour race have come to the fore. Somehow they've got it in the groove and they are just flying. Wesley Lewin coming out of the pits. Pushing it as hard as he can is Jorge Benitez, but he's got a bit of space between himself and Paul Scott. There is in fact 2 LMDHs between the two of them. There is Paul Scott, 3rd in class, 21st out on circuit. There comes Sean, right in there behind him. Paul's gone up 6, Sean's gone up 1. And they've got a bit of a gap between themselves and Trevor Evans. A minute further back is Trevor. So we've lost out on Marcelo Felix. David is also completely out of it. Lugokiki, what a pity. He was out for the last 5 laps already. And then Craig Tillotson, he's backed up earlier on and he said, nah, this one is not for me. It's not going to work. Jonas on his way out of the pits. Surely that's his 2nd time that he's come into the pits. Yep, 2 pit stops. So there must have been damage on the car or a drive-through penalty for too many off circuits. So Jonas with probably it was a drive-through that he did. Let's see if Jonas Spielberg. No, he actually did stop. Oh, and he was past his pit box as well. So it wasn't a drive-through penalty. It was a necessary stop. There must have been a bit of damage on the car. And yeah, that just drops you down. In a field that's so close, you lose out so much on that extra pit stop. Talking about close, talking about gains. 12 up for Benjamin McCliskey. The man in front of him that started alongside him on the grid, also 12 positions up. Closing down on Igor Martinez. Catching Martinez is one thing, passing him is another. We saw how effective Martinez was in race number 1. Igor Martinez in the number 50 car. Can they close him down on that slipstream? Nope, I think he's got enough pace, Igor Martinez, at this point to hold out Dan Piazza. Benjamin McCliskey right in there behind him. Benjamin should now maybe, just maybe, back off on Dan. Let Piazza Sr. have a go at Igor Martinez, who's up 7. The two of them are up 12. Let him have a go at Martinez. If he gets past, then make sure that you're in the right position to make use of that. Oh, the two of them on completely different lines going into that corner. Make use of that opportunity, then go and fight with Dan Piazza thereafter, because he's on pretty much the same pace as Benjamin. And if they're going to fight one another, that's exactly with the man that we're driving with now, Igor Martinez. He wants to have a situation where Piazza and McCliskey are closing one another off and slowing one another down, and that just makes it possible for him to keep that little bit of a gap that he's got. He's not exactly losing out on the Nick Clibbins, So who would you guys say's got the best lap time overall? Well, let me tell you, it's Benjamin McCliskey, a 147, a 165. That is his fastest lap. And it looks like Mr. Mark Baker, yep, he's the man in the LMP3s that has got the fastest lap out there to date. There's our marshals standing ready on the start-finish line to get going with that white flag. Alex Meredith inside of the top 10, but wants to try and get past Dan Downing. Lovely sticker job on that motor car. Just look how the colors integrate on the car of Alex Meredith. All over the back of, oh, Alan McCain's gone into the pits. Well, he is 17th in class, and there's big gaps behind that, so shouldn't be a problem for him to hold onto that one. Meredith had a look around on the outside of Dan Downing, backs out of that. Let's have a look just a little bit further forward. McCliskey, Piazza, Martinez. He's the man on the bubble. Fifth, top 5. 6 minutes, 45 seconds to go. And this high-speed train hunts him down from behind. Trying the wider entry and the wider exit is Dan Piazza. McCliskey's all over his back bumper through the last corner. Oh, Igor Martinez made a good job of the exit of turn 14. I think he's got enough space. He's going to cover that line. Oh no, he went past the LMP3 and yep, he's going to hold on for yet another lap. What a lovely dice that is in there behind him. Benjamin McCliskey. Can't get much closer than that. You can smell those burning tires in front of him. Dan's got that car right in the middle of the circuit. You want to go past? You go round the outside, Sonny. Now the cutback, and he'll be on that inside line. I think that's the pass. I think that's the pass. If he can hold on to it, because the next one's going to be a right-hander. Yes, he's made it. Benjamin McCliskey, Mr. Smooth, moves up another position past Dan Piazza Sr. Now, what does that man do? Igor Martinez, if he looks back, that red mean machine in the hands of Mr. Smooth, Benjamin McCliskey, has now got open ground. 4 minutes 40 seconds to go. Can McCliskey close down on Martinez? Question 1. Can McCliskey pass Martinez and break away into the top 5 at the LMP3 car of Jorge Bentes? He's lying second in class, but what a battle that is. He's already through, and he's brought Dan Piazza with him, and Jonas is in there as well. Well, I tell you what, Dan Piazza has not let Benjamin McCliskey get away whatsoever. 4.5 minutes to go. I think McCliskey might be actually feeling the pressure just a little bit. Gazza, I think Gazza has just eased off the loud pedal just a little bit. No reason to win it by 4 minutes. It's not going to make any difference. A first place is a first place is a first place. And I think he's decided, let's now just be smooth, calm and careful, because there comes Dory Ricciuti. Nothing in front of him. 7-second gap in terms of cars in his own class. He's got Mark Baker, who's the leading LMP3 that makes nice space for him. Mr. Baker says, different class, have a nice day. Neil Ferrier, third in heat number one, second in heat number one. In that third position, not enough time to make it to the back end of Dory Ricciuti. Nick Clibbins in that fourth. I think you'll be pretty okay with that. Igor Martinez desperately trying to stay ahead of Benjamin McCliskey. McCliskey trying to get away from Dan Piazza. Piazza's having nothing of it. Just 3 more minutes to go. What an amazing mid-pack struggle. Another name that comes to mind, Alex Meredith. A very, very good day's racing for Alex Meredith. All over the back of Justice Stakiakis. I think he might even go for the pass. Stakiakis has got to move across to the right-hand side of the circuit like that. He moves across to the right-hand side. You're allowed to move once, but you can't move back again. And that's where you stick your nose on that outside line. A bit of frustration there. Meredith now having a look around the outside. They're rubbing wheel nuts, and I think Meredith might have it. Meredith might just have it. Coming down now towards that left-hander. Meredith on the inside. Stakiakis on the outside. Yep, Meredith makes up that one. But that's about as far as he's going to go. There's just 1 minute 20 left. That's if he can hold that position, because he's 9 seconds behind Dan Piazza. That you're never going to make up, barring a bit of a lawnmower session somewhere. But you've got to dedicate the day for the finals to that man. Faultless. Utterly faultless. He's given away about 3 seconds in the last 20 minutes of this race, just to be nice and smooth out there. He'll have one more lap as he starts his penultimate lap. Yep, there you can see the flag man in the background. Ricciuti, Ferrier, Clibbins, Martinez. Ooh, Benjamin McCliskey within 3/10. But he's only got one lap. They are on the white flag lap, the last lap. Can Igor Martinez hold out Mr. Smooth, Benjamin McCliskey, for one lap? I think so. I think Martinez has got the pace to be able to do that. Alex Meredith just a little bit further back. He's now got a bit of a gap between himself and Stakiakis, so he'll be alright with that. But I think Igor Martinez is on his way to stay ahead of Mr. Smooth and get it to the checkered flag. Look at that black number 1 on the track map. That's Gaza. The grey number 2, that's Dory Ricciuti. The red number 3, that's Neil Ferrier. Right in there behind him is in fact Nick Clibbins. That's number 4. The battle you watching is with the green circle around it. And that is Igor Martinez trying to hold out Benjamin McCliskey. But let's give it up for the man of the moment. Gaza on his way up towards the line. The hour is done. Checkered flag. 5 seconds. Brilliant drive, Gaza. Dory Ricci. Uti. Beautiful stuff. Neil Ferrier comes up towards the line. A second in the first race. A third in this one. Clibbins ahead of Martinez. McCliskey. So it was Martinez that stayed ahead of McCliskey. Then Dan Piazza. Here comes Meredith. He's happy. Flashes the lights as he comes across the line. Ahead of Stakiakis. He managed to stay ahead of him 20 seconds further back. But still inside the top 10 is Jamie Dory. the recovering Stefan Wessels, you see there for a moment in the background. After that massive crunch that he had, fights his way, but still can't get into the top 10. Paul Williams coming up towards the line. Duncan Maria, last gasp effort. Mark Sykes in there behind that. Jonas Schoberg's come through as well. Alan McCain, the man that had the additional pit stop, he's a lap down. Still love that color scheme. Nice and creative. He'll come across the line. The only other man out there is Skitter. Let's see if we can pick him up. There he is. He's the last man to come across the line, and he slows it down right there. So that brings to an end the Next Gen Racing Proto Season 4 round number 2 from the iconic Road America in prototypes. First race, Gaza, no can do. Second race, well, to my mind, the race of his life. Amazing stuff. Well done, Gaza. That was very dominant, very, very good. You can't do much better than that. Dory Ricciuti second. He'll be very chuffed, keeping in mind that he was 9 seconds ahead of Neil Ferrier, who overall has probably had the best scores of the day with a second and a third position. Nick Klibbens 3 seconds further back. The iRace Esports entry ahead of the Ignium Motorsport by Casey Motorsport of Neil Ferrier. Then Benjamin McCliskey, one of the gold class drivers. He's a privateer. The Old Dogs boys, Dan Piazza Sr. in 7th, ahead of Alex Meredith from Justice Stakiakis. Jamie Dory rounding out that top 10 and representing Next Gen Racing. Let's go a little bit further down in those results and let's have a look, see how it went for the guys in the LMP3s. There they are. And Mr., that's what you're going to call him from now on, Mr. Mark Baker ahead of Jorge Bentes, who's had a pretty good run today. Well, he was a long way off Baker, but he had a good run in round number 1, so he's very possibly the highest point scorer to date in the LMP3s. From Paul Scott, Sean Skitter, Trevor Evans, and Mike Riedner in the 77. Tata Rouge, he was 4 laps down. Well, folks, that pretty much wraps it up. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be here with you. Next Gen Racing, numerous different classes that they run on numerous different platforms, and to be part of it, it's an honor and a pleasure. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as what I did. A big thanks to Higgins Automotive, Choice Design, Motorsport UK Esports, Mark Sykes Designs, Sam Cases, Douglas Motorsport, Benji Sim, and Power Max. To all of these guys, a big thanks for their input to make it all possible. Don't forget about IMB Raceway. And folks, I'll see you next week for round number 3 of GT3 in Next Gen. It's been a fantastic session. Enjoy the rest of the week and you have a fantastic weekend. Cheers, everybody.